and welcome. You're watching First Stick here on News 9, where we bring to you the morning buzz on the Lal Street. I'm Sayash Maheshwari, and with me in the studio, as always, is Amit Ranjan. And it's a Monday morning, and the markets, they have opened in the green. Nifty, as we speak, is trading above the 22,600 mark. In fact, it has made a new record high in the morning trade itself. The broader markets are staging a recovery as well. The small cap index is also within touching distance of its record high. The mid cap index has opened above 50,000 levels for the very first time. So all in all, a very positive start to the day of trading. But we'll get to all the action on D Street in just a moment from now. As always, let's begin with a quick check on the global market. Amit, what you've got for us?
It was a solid US jobs payroll data that came out, and the Asian stocks, at least in Japan, they led the gains. Mainland China shares fell after a 2 days break. Dow Jones was in the positive at 0.80%. S&P 500 closed the weekend in the positive at 1.11%. Nasdaq closed in the positive at 1.24%. All this on Friday after the jobs data came out. European stocks were slightly in the negative. Even the individual stocks, but for Tesla, were in the positive, whether it is Apple or Nvidia. Stocks 600 was in the red at 0.84%. Hang Seng this morning is in the negative at 0.17%, opening after a 2 days break. Gold fell after a record high last week as investors weighed in on the strong US jobs report that saw traders unwinding their bets for a steep rate cut. So that has happened, and oil too stabilized a little after Israel reaffirmed that they'll be removing troops from Gaza.
All right, and the jobs data, as you also spoke about, in the US came in much ahead of expectation. And Amit, that is the third or the fourth data release, in the US in the last couple of weeks that has come in hotter than the expectation. And that, pretty much hurts the expectations of the rate cuts in the US. The markets were factoring in, the start of the monetary easing by June of this year. The expectation now has been pushed to July. And, that also has held, push up bond yields in the US. The 10-year, for instance, is now at a 5-month high of 4.4%. And the dollar index is also moving higher. But crude oil prices, they have come down. And that's on the back of, easing tensions in the Middle East. Crude oil, Brent crude as we speak, is now trading below $90 a barrel, and that overall is a positive for us. And speaking of our markets, a very good start, a healthy start to the day of trading. Nifty has made a new record high, as we speak. It is trading above the 22,600 mark. The mid-cap index has opened above the, 50,000 levels for the very first time. Small caps, they are just, about a couple of 100 points shy of their record high. And the banking index, that has taken a leadership role, and the index is also about 150 points below its record highs as well. So overall, a very, very positive start to the day of trading. But the question remains, where we go from here on. And to answer that, let's bring on board Avni Bhatt of JM Financial. Thank you for joining us here on News 9, Avni. Good morning to you. A very healthy start to the day of trading. Nifty has, broken above that congestion zone of 22,500, 530 odd level. Nifty Bank is also leading from the front, very close to its, respective record as well. How is the overall setup looking like this week?
Good morning, Suyash, Amit, and all the viewers. The interesting thing is it's very refreshing to see Bank Nifty take the lead finally after so many months of consolidation and underperformance. And Nifty is close. It has been making new all-time highs day-on-day basis, week-on-week basis. Now, last week, if we see on closing basis, it remained confined within the trading range of 22,300 to 22,530. Although there were two attempts to cross the all-time high level. But on closing basis, it remained below 530. Now, we are looking at a gradual move in Nifty towards 22,800 on the upside. 620 level has been tested today on intraday basis. If it manages to close also about 22,620 level, I think 22,800 we should be seeing in this coming weekly expiry itself. So view positive on Nifty too, but slightly more positive on Bank Nifty, because Bank Nifty, after a huge consolidation and underperformance, last week it has crossed the congestion zone of 48,000 to 48,200 level. It closed above it. And now we are looking at Bank Nifty going to first initially testing the all-time high of around 48,640, and eventually after that it should move up to around 49,500 in the April series. So view is positive on both the indices. The India VIX is very well settled below 12%. It's comfortably trading below 12%. So stability is there in the system and the supports are in place. Eventually both these indices the move will be gradual from here onwards.
Good morning, Avni. And now the world's largest renewable energy plant is likely to come up at Khavda in Gujarat. It's coming by the way of Adani Green Energy investing as much as 1.5 trillion rupees from now on through to 2030. The capacity that they're looking at is 45 gigawatts. Initially 26 gigawatts via solar and 4 gigawatts initially via wind energy. The stock itself, if we look at Adani Green Energy, has risen 116%, over 116% in the last 1 year. It is up for 2.63% now. Do you think the stock is going to rally further, or is it close to maxing out? It's its distance from the 52-week high is only 3.5%, 141% away from the 52-week low. Has it maxed out?
So as I see the charts of Adani Green, I think right from March 23 till almost December 23, that last entire year, it has consolidated with a support somewhere around, say, 880 to 890. And now it has given a breakout in December itself. We saw the breakout coming in. The stock is gradually moving up. Currently, it is at the weekly resistance level. Once it crosses 1980 level, I think the move should get some catalyst move will come, and this acceleration should lead the stock to up to around 2445. So the view remains positive. The support base has moved up to 1703. It's a small mover, as in we don't see very huge moves in this particular stock. But the structure is positive, the texture is positive. It should move gradually towards 2445.
All right. Another stock we wanted to touch base with you on is Wipro. I mean, of course, the IT earnings will start trickling in from this week. Friday, we have TCS. Next week, we have Wipro coming out with its, Q4 print. But, the news came out this morning. Thierry Delaporte has resigned, has stepped down as the CEO of Wipro, and the company has struggled with top leadership in the last few months. And even looking at the stock, I mean, from its February high, it has fallen about 12% or so. What are your expectations? I mean, sentimentally, certainly a negative for the stock, but do you expect more correction in the offing?
As far as keeping aside the news factor, if I look purely on the databases, I think the stock is consolidating. The downside support is around 474, and upside there's a huge built up in calls at 490 and 500 calls. So these are the resistance levels. I think it should more or less consolidate within the range of 474 to 490. And only once it crosses 493 level, we should be seeing a move up to around 540. But the chances look weak right now. I think it can come down to around 474 levels. Not a big downside, but no big upside either. So it should consolidate within this range.
No big upside on Wipro just yet. But Avni, what are your picks for our investors today?
So since now from here onwards, the view on Bank Nifty is positive. I think I'll go with the leader in the PSU banking space, which is SBI. So my first pick will be SBI. One can buy in the range of 763 to 765. A good support base has been formed at 750, and highest OI is at 800 and 780 levels. So still a lot of upside left in the stock. There's future OI addition also on the long side up to around 4.2% on Friday. So good, very well placed. Targets would be 795 and 800 and stop loss at 750. The second stock is M&M. It has moved up a little, but still, it's a very good buy. 2000 to 2010 area is an ideal buying level. In case if we see some dips in the stock, we can buy around those levels. 2100 level will be the target, and 1930 can be kept as a stop loss. The third stock is Deepak Nitrate. Now, in Deepak Nitrate, we've seen a lot of unwinding in 2260 and 2300 calls. And a good support base has been formed at 2200 with a lot of put writing positions being built up at this particular strike. So around 2220, it's a good buy. 2310 would be the target. 2155 stop loss. The fourth stock is Bharat Electronics. We've seen a good short covering of around 2%. Massive unwinding seen at 220 and 230 calls. And a lot of addition seen at 220 put on the writing side. So a support base has been formed at 220. Around 224.5 was the closing on Friday. We can buy the stock for a target of 240, keeping a stop loss of 218. And lastly, it's a stock from the FMCG sector, Kolpal. This I would consider it as a reversal candidate. Unwinding has been seen at 2760 and 2800 calls. And support is being formed in the area of 2680 to 2700 area. So we can buy the stock for a target of 2820 with a stop loss of 2675.
All right, those are the top stock picks from Avni Bhatt in the short term. SBI, M&M, Deepak Nitrate, Bharat Electronics and Colgate-Palmolive are on the radar of Avni Bhatt. Ma'am, thank you for giving us time here on News 9. Appreciate your thoughts as well as your time. But with that, let's slip into a short break. On the other side, Gaurang Shah, Senior Vice President at Geojit Financial Services, joins us.
Film and entertainment is definitely one of the levers for any country to build its brand.
We are getting global. I feel that we're just on the takeoff.
More and more films are becoming language agnostic.
Content is a universal language.
There's one audience in the world.
Absolutely. End of the day, we all are like brothers who have mutual respect for each other from a different land.
This and more. Streaming on News 9 Plus. Subscribe and get free vouchers.
India produces between 1,500 and 2,000 films every year, the highest for any country. But they get ignored at international awards.
The Oscars are basically American national awards for themselves.
You're not going to be able to make a better pizza than an Italian chef. You're not going to be able to make a better sushi than a Japanese chef. Will you make better khichdi than a Japanese chef? Right? So I want you to taste my food. We are making cinema that we are proud of.
In fact, it has been 2 decades since an Indian feature film featured in the Oscars International Film category.
All these years, for much of its history, they've been just awarding their own films, and this one tiny category, Best Foreign Language Film, had the entire world frothing at the mouth to get into the Oscars.
This and more. Streaming on News 9 Plus. News is now content. Subscribe and get free vouchers.
We are trying a lot of experiments, innovations and ideas.
We came out with a new format in audio, which is audio series.
Listening for content-oriented company in India, which is a very unique proposition.
When we look at audio in general, we had music, which is like extremely old format, and then we had podcast.
A natural extension to Pocket FM is to move from Hindi to regional content. I think I'd love to see their FY24 numbers, which they claim will be close to 1,000 crores. I think there are talks of them to raise another $80 to $100 million of funding.
This and more. Streaming on News 9 Plus. News is now content. Subscribe and get free vouchers.
For the very first time in our investigation, we unmasked the killer of Ravindra Matre.
In 5G, we have to stand with the world, and in 6G, we have to lead the world.
Winning a Grammy was an absolutely surreal experience.
Welcome back. You're watching First Tick here on News 9, and before we move on, let's take a quick look at how the markets are doing, because remember, we are very close to the record high levels. Nifty as we speak is hovering around that 22,600 mark. We have made a new record high on the index at 22,623. And Sensex in fact has also made a new record high in today's trade as well. The broader markets overall continue to recover. In fact, mid cap index has recovered all that was lost in that March meltdown. In fact, it's moving higher. It has opened above 50,000 levels for the very first time, and the recovery continues over there. The small cap index is also about 200 points shy of its record high, and in the last week, remember, the small cap index had gained by about 7%. So the recovery has been rather strong when it comes to the broader markets. Also, keep an eye out for Bank Nifty, because that is within it's touching distance of its record high. We had actually came just about 7 points shy of the all-time high levels on Bank Nifty, but have reversed course from there on. Currently we are hovering around that 48,500 mark, and that's for Bank Nifty. But overall the setup is looking rather positive. But remember, we have another event heavy week lined up for us. It will be a holiday shortened week. Thursday is a market holiday, but the fourth quarter earnings season kickstarts this week. TCS comes out with its results on Friday, and then we have a bunch of companies from the Nifty 50 basket that will start reporting its earnings from next week as well. So all in all, lots to react to, and at a time like this, I mean, it's critical for us to understand what direction the market is going to take, and for that we have Mr. Gaurang Shah, Senior Vice President at Geojit Financial Services, joining us. Gaurang, thank you for joining us here on News 9. Again, always a pleasure speaking with you, sir. And the big event, sir, is behind us now. RBI came, the decision is out, status quo out and out. I mean, on both rates and the stance. Anything that stood out for you from what Mr. Das had to say?
Thank you, Suyash, and morning to all of you also. Nothing that was outside the ordinary or expectation, to be very honest. And I was surprised, the question that was asked by some journalists, that will you follow what the US Fed is doing? I mean, how mature you are to ask that kind of a question to the RBI governor. I mean, don't you have your own data points to look at, that you have to ape what the US and the US Fed does? I think it was just because you have to ask a question, you should not ask. You should have some kind of, weightage behind it. Having said that, nothing out of the extraordinary from what was expected. I think it was in line. And there was another question that was put forward to the RBI, Honorable RBI Governor, was that from when the rate cuts will start. I mean, you ask these kind of questions, what are you trying to prove? I mean, the RBI Governor is not here to give you dates from where he's going to cut. And all this is going to be data dependent. And more importantly, I think the comfort zone that I drew was that inflation is likely to come to the 4% mark, where the Monetary Policy Committee will start feeling comfortable and start thinking about rate cuts. Along with that, you have supportive growth rate, and 7% is what is benchmarked towards the growth. And of course, on the crude oil front, the kind of boil we are seeing, we expect it to settle down more because of the geopolitical situation, less because of the demand supply issue. On the markets front, I think slowly, steadily, we'll inch up. We will possibly see new highs uh, every second, third day. There will be days of profit booking also, Yash. I expect some bit of profit booking because we have, uh, come up to this level in a fairly decent span of time. Truncated week, as you mentioned, this week and next week will be also truncated. So let's see a little bit of consolidation in profit booking before we move much higher from here on. But I think the triggers are positive. I don't think you're going to see any kind of a huge sell-off or a meltdown. At best, some percentage points downside could be healthy for the market.
All right, and to your point, sir, the markets, I mean, overall the setup is, the texture of the market is looking rather positive, and Nifty for one had been lacking a leadership role, and Nifty bank and banking stocks in general have filled in that space. The banking stocks are staging a healthy recovery, and HDFC Bank is leading from the front. Now, the business update, the Q4 business update for the bank came out, HDFC Bank I'm talking about, and deposit growth, Gaurang, was rather strong. I mean, that was a big pain point for the banks, right? So, do you think that the worst is over for the banks, considering that deposit growth is also picking up and we have monetary easing down the road?
You know what I've learned, one thing, Suyash, in the market is never try to preempt anything or never try to jump the gun. Take everything as it comes in your stride and try to evaluate, try to dissect it, try to understand it, and then possibly take your next step forward. And we've been discussing HDFC Bank for a pretty long period of time before that report came out, which actually sent some kind of shivers down the spine when some foreign brokerage chap told us that there will be margin pressure. I mean, wasn't it known to all of us after the great merger that all of us were so excited about on the street? Let's face it. So we maintained a positive stance then, we maintain a positive stance now. And I think it is good and very encouraging to see this kind of advances and deposit numbers. A strong CASA number also is desired. And everything is falling in its place as what we had anticipated. And we are still maintaining a positive view. I am always maintained one thing, Suyash, is that financials, that is banking, whether it is public sector bank, private sector bank, or strong NBFCs, are going to witness tremendous amount of credit growth. And because of that, you are going to see loan book growth. The only thing we have to watch out is that they do not drop their guard in terms of risk profiling and ensure a strong return of principal and interest. I wouldn't be surprised to see not only this fourth quarter, this last quarter, this financial year, but also for the new financial year that began on 1st of April up until next year and possibly for the next couple of years. I think financials, banking and NBFCs are going to do well.
Good morning, Gaurang, and it's going to be a hot, sweltering and sultry summer, so says the IMD. The heat waves are going to be hotter than they have ever been, as have been projected by the department. Air conditioner manufacturing company stocks in the very first week of April have surged almost 15%. What do you make of this pack? Even something like an EPAC durable, which was in the negative when we consider 1 year returns, has been positive in the last 5 days, as much as 12%. So are you going to see a big rally in these stocks and this pack as between April and June? Or is it just going to be the first week of April where people buy their stuff and then the stocks are going to basically taper down?
Amit, the problem is that AC is now a requirement for 365 days, especially with the kind of climate change that we are witnessing. Point number one. Point number two, there was a little bit of concern in terms of demand coming in from semi-urban and rural India. But I think most of the AC manufacturing companies and the cooler manufacturing companies have come out with entry-level products, which has seen a decent amount of growth and has added to the volumes and the profitability overall. So we remain positive, and it's, I mean, not that, we are going to see severe summer only this time, possibly because of the climate change and all that. We may be in a period wherein we'll have to see sustained longer period and high temperatures as far as the summer season is concerned. And otherwise, you definitely have sales going through. So we remain positive on consumer durable white good appliances companies like Voltas, Viewstar, Symphony, Whirlpool, if I have my memory right. And my sense is that, you will have demand coming in from metros and tier 2 cities, but more so from tier 3, tier 4, semi-urban and rural India. especially post the election and as more disposable income starts coming on the hand of semi-urban and rural India, I think entry-level ACs and coolers is something that you should watch out for.
All right, entry level ACs and coolers stocks, something to watch out for. And I mean, the temperatures are certainly picking up. The projections are 38 degrees it will reach in Delhi NCR. I mean, in April, that's kind of high, Gaurang. But on that note, we'll let you go, sir. Thank you for your time and for the insights. Always a pleasure speaking with you.
Thank you so much. All the best. Thank you.
But it's not just the temperature in Delhi NCR that's picking up. The markets, they are also, making a move to its record high levels. In fact, as we speak, Nifty is very close to its new record high of 22,623 mark. We are just about 10 points away from the record high. And Sensex is also, by the way, Sensex also claimed a new record high in today's session, and it's currently hovering around that 74,500 mark, up 0.4% as of 10:15 a.m. The broader markets, they are moving in line with the headliners. The mid-cap index is up 0.2% at 50,130 mark, whereas the small-cap index is closing in on 16,400 mark, and the index is now about just 300 points shy of its record high as well. And volatility, I mean, remember, it is going to be a data heavy week. We are stepping into the fourth quarter earnings season, so expect choppiness on the way up. But I mean, the going has been good for our markets, and it certainly has been a buy on dips market. Even when you look at the broader markets, I mean, remember, just a month ago, when we were in the middle of the March, we were talking about this big shakeout that was taking place in the mid-cap and the small-cap space. But look at the recovery. The recovery has been superb. I mean, 15-20 days, the market has recovered, clawed back everything that it lost. And I'm talking about the mid-caps and the small-caps. The mid-cap is at a new record high. The small-cap index is also, I mean, about 200 points from its record high. So it's getting there. And Nifty had been lacking a leadership role. We have been talking about the sector rotation that had been taking on since the start of this calendar year, but Nifty Bank has finally joined the party. It is taking that leadership role, and it's a large cohort of private banks that are participating in the upside. It is your HDFC Bank, Kotak Mahindra Bank and Axis Bank that are leading from the front. So keep an eye out for that. And Gaurang also pointed out that we are expecting some bit of a turnaround for the banking space at large, and the private banks could benefit because they are much better valued than their public sector peers at this point in time. Another space that could benefit from this upsurge could be the NBFC stocks, and remember, they had seen a bit of a shakeout as well in the last few months after RBI tightened the noose on unsecured lending, as well as posted curbs on several of the NBFC companies such as IAFL and a few others. But that space is going to, it is staging some bit of a recovery out there, so keep an eye out on that. But on that note, let's end the show. We'll see you at 4 p.m. on Last Tick, but up next is World Business Report.
$20,000 people dead and counting. What's happening in the United States of America is unprecedented. You will have to pay for this.